Hey guys, Jason here with a word to the wise. I got a interesting subject just because of a flyer that I got in the mail. And as soon as I started looking at it, it was creepy. But when I started looking at the details of it, then I realized what I was looking at. And a couple years back, they came out with those Look Alive dolls or whatever they are, and they're toddlers or babies that in a picture they look basically real, about as real as they could possibly get, but you know, their faces are frozen in whatever form that they are formed in. So my niece got one and she showed it to my daughter, and my daughter said that she wanted to get one, and so she gets one, and the face, if it's sucking on a pacifier, it looks kind of cute, but without the pacifier in its mouth, it looks like some distorted Chucky doll. You know, it has this face that just stuck. And she played with it maybe 1 or 2 days and, you know, pretty much tucked it away so she didn't have to look at it anymore. So seeing these things like 5 years ago, easy, people were talking about like, well, just imagine if you start putting motors or something in these things in voice boxes and they begin talking and moving, walking. I mean, you know, once it starts, it just, you know, the sky's the limit. Which was pretty much what we were all just waiting for. But the thing that really kind of is interesting is I remember hearing an interview where they're talking about animatronics. If you've ever gone to, like, say, Disney World, they have the Hall of Presidents where they have, you know, they have a lot of animatronic robots, you know, that move around and, you know, yada, yada, yada. Kind of going a little too far into this company's parking lot. So, to say that, you know, oh, we don't have that technology, this is something at Disney World. And I thought I remember watching an interesting video, and it was, I think, from Disney. They had these robots that were doing the flying trapeze. And they were doing flips, and I mean, it was kind of amazing if you've never seen the video. I'm not going to dig up all these things and show you guys, but they're out there. And I just saw a bunch of things from, I think it's Japan's robotics, like a Roboticon or whatever. So they had all these different silicone-based people, but I mean, they're beginning to look more and more real. And that was one of the things they said, oh, well, you know, we just can't get the skin just right. So we got a bunch of contractors out there trying to get us the best looking skins. I think that if they're willing to even talk about it, they're already there. And to see this little baby available to give people, some little baby that coos and winces and does all those kind of little motions, that's a little bit bigger than it seems, I would have to say. Very interesting, to say the least. Probably do a little Yui right here. But I mean, how would you test something like this in the public? You would basically just put it out there. But I guess if you're trying to make a young, spry man, well, that would be kind of odd. So it's like, well, you'd have to maybe start easy. Go with, say, an elderly person and put that test model out there just in case if it breaks down or locks up or falls over and is non-functional. Well, oh, it's just an old person, you know, they're having issues, they probably need their medication. yada, yada, yada. Of course, you probably want to keep a close view on it, and you probably, have some sort of fake ambulance just sitting in back, just waiting for something to go wrong in case it did. But what better way to test it out in the public view? And if nobody notices, well, hey, test successful. I mean, look at Joe Biden. I mean, he can barely get a sentence out anymore, and he's definitely elderly. But wouldn't it be amazing if all of a sudden he just started like throwing sparks and smoking up on stage? And why can't he have any kind of press conferences, to answer any questions? And what would be more interesting than, well, we've got him out there in the public view, but we can't have him talk because he's not that responsive and he has to formulate still. But look at the chat GTPs. Now you start putting those into these things, and guess what? Boom. You're going to have, all you got to do is make sure it moves correctly and that it sounds correct. And if the skins are just fine, nobody's the wiser. So I just wanted to put that out there, but I just want to show you this animatronic little doll, and it makes me think of that Steven Spielberg movie. He seems to have a lot of interesting previews of things that seem to happen, and like the Ready Player One, the headsets, and I'm sure I've seen on Days of Noah, they show those skin suits that you get into that have little servos of some kind that make it feel what you're seeing, what you're viewing. You're immersed in that experience, versus just sitting there in a chair. How could you possibly feel like you're moving around other than putting some sort of full body suit on that makes it feel like you're moving and walking just because of the pushing on your muscles? And I'm not sure how that would work. It's not like I'd ever do it. I mean, maybe for an experiment just to see what it's like, but just want to put that out there. Just an interesting kind of ideas. And oh yeah, so for the Spielberg, just that AI, if you haven't seen artificial intelligence, where it has that little kid from Forrest Gump, or no, it wasn't Forrest Gump, it was The Sixth Sense. When he was young, he did a bunch of those movies real quick. He did The Sixth Sense, he did the AI movie for Spielberg, where he was just a robotic artificial intelligence boy. And it was interesting to see his bear also was an AI robot, but not as advanced as he was. The kid didn't even realize he was a machine until he finally was shown. So I'll just leave it like that. It makes me think of chapter 9 in Revelations, coming out of the pit, the 200 million, I think it is, or that come out of the pit. I can't expect them to all be like a clone army out of Star Wars that are all going to be the exact same little, figures. I've said it in the past, look at the, if those are spirits that are coming out and they want to embody all these things, people, AI robots, just in the background, just influencing and causing disturbances. We fight not against the flesh, but against principalities. So I can see that it could go in many different ways. An army isn't just a bunch of soldiers. They have captains, they have gunmen, they have tanks, they got every kind of thing that you can think of on the chessboard and more to win that kind of a battle. So all we can do is wait and see. I'm not saying that the president's a robot or anything like that. I'm just saying that it's just an interesting theory that how would you do something like that? That would be a great way. So just a word to the wise, guys. God bless.